Welcome to the press conference for Silver Linings Playbook. Just a few points before we begin. There'll be no flash photography during the press conference, but as the talent enters the room, feel free to take some photographs while they're taking their seats. Once the press conference begins, only the 6 accredited media can take photographs. TIFF will make the photos available from this press conference on the media site within 24 hours. Our volunteers will be walking around with microphones to handle your questions, so when you ask a question, please remember to identify yourself and your media outlet. Everyone, please make sure your cell phones are off, and the press conference will be streamed live at tiff.net. Our moderator for this session is Eric Kohanek, and it's now my pleasure to welcome the director and cast of Silver Linings Playbook. Thanks so much.
Is this right? Good morning. Welcome to our press conference this morning for Silver Linings Playbook,
Welcome to heaven.
which had its TIFF gala premiere last night at the Roy Thompson Hall. And as we sit here, it's halfway through its second screening inside the Visa screening room at the Elgin Theatre. Welcome to you all. I'd like to introduce the panel today. We have next to me David O. Russell, who directed the film as well as wrote the screenplay. Next to David, Bradley Cooper, who stars in the key role of Pat Solitano. Next to Bradley, we have Jennifer Lawrence, who takes on the role of Tiffany. Next to Jennifer, we have Chris Tucker, who plays Pat's best friend, Danny. Next to Chris, we have Jackie Weaver, who plays Pat's mom, Dolores. And last but certainly not least, we have Anupam Kher, who plays the role of Dr. Patel, the therapist. Before we throw it open to questions, I'll just toss it over to you, David. Congratulations on the premiere last night. How did it go? How did it feel? And how does it feel to be in Toronto?
Oh, we just love being here. It's a cinema-loving town, and that theater with 2,000 people is intense. Every audience is different, but it's wonderful when you can feel connected to the audience, and I think that's how we felt last night with the film.
Great. We have volunteers with microphones, so feel free to stick up your hand. Don't be shy. We'll get a microphone down to you here down front. We'll start with a question right here.
Hello, I'm Rebecca from Glamour in the UK. I have a question for Jennifer. Congratulations, it was a beautiful performance. Can you just tell us a little bit about how much training went into the dancing aspects in the film?
I had about double Bradley's. I had extra homework because I'm an extra bad dancer. It was. I mean, we had a. It was very true.
You're horrible.
I'm awful. We had an amazing choreographer, dance teacher, Mandy Moore, and she worked very hard with me. So I think like 2 weeks every day.
Yeah, we did. From the beginning, we did. Yeah, we worked really hard.
Another question down front here.
Just wondering if David could talk about whether he tried to get the cast into shape by looking at other fast movies. His Girl Friday, many directors will sometimes say, watch this, watch that. Did you try to, was that part of the preparation?
I think it's just a natural rhythm of the writing, Jeff, and the way we would rehearse. I think you guys can speak for yourselves, but I think there's sort of a life on our set that people get used to. I like a short schedule because it serves that, but there's a rhythm that I like to the writing and to the scene, and I think you guys could probably speak to that. I mean, it's just we would find this rhythm in the scene that would get gather momentum as we would go faster, because what you don't want is this person speaks and then this person speaks, which is how you sort of tend to start the day. But if you get it broken in like a baseball mitt by the time you've warmed it up, people are just going the way it is in real life, I think.
Yeah, I mean, musicality is a huge part of this movie, and in the musicality of the way, the rhythm of the speech, and that's dictated by this, sort of, the mitt becoming more softer and softer and more, having more contours to it, and that just, that's working with this guy. He gets every actor to a place where they're out of their head and they're actually in the moment, interacting with the other person in real time, and because of the way it's written and the rhythms of each character, you sort of have this sort of cacophony of voices that create this sort of jazz music, and I think that's what you're talking about, the rhythm that is likened to other movies of old. But yeah, and it's exciting. It's exciting to be a part of it, because once you're in it, we would talk about it, we found it, we're in the zone, and then we would just start hitting it, and it's very exciting.
I do love His Girl Friday.
Another question down front?
My question was Bradley Cooper. In the movie, there's the song that kind of sets you off. I think everybody kind of has a song that sets them off. Mine, it's Puff the Magic Dragon. But I was wondering if there's a...
What happens to you?
I just get emotional. I'm afraid of growing up myself. So
Right.
I was just wondering if there's a song like that in your own life.
I was going to say, that would be an interesting song if that's what happened when he walked. That was the song that was playing. Puff the Magic Dragon.
So
What an interesting, his wife had an interesting...
Is there a song in your own life that sets you off emotionally?
He cries every time he hears "Call Me Maybe."
What's that? I know, do you know what?
Maybe.
Oh, right. I still don't know. Sorry.
He's been in outer space.
It's more geographic locations. I remember there was something when I was a kid, and like something happened in Colorado, and I was like, I hate Colorado. Don't even talk about Colorado. But no, I love Colorado.
For me, there's a Foreigner song. Is it that song, I've Been Waiting for a Girl Like You to Get Into My Life? Yeah, I have some very bad memories to that song.
There must be a song. Yeah. Oh, Beautiful People. Right? That song, by was it Marilyn Manson? Yeah. That was a destructive song.
We've got another question down here.
I have two questions, one for Jennifer. With so much success with the Hunger Games, how much pressure do you feel to find other hits like that one, and finding another challenges in the movies? And for Bradley later, if you could tell, the title that you got as a sexiest man alive, if that works with the movies that you make?
I don't really feel that much pressure, because either way, I'm gonna get paid if I find a good movie or a bad one. I've always wanted to work with David O. Russell. I mean, he's probably been my favorite director since I started watching movies, or watched one of his movies. So that was a really easy decision. I just really wanted to work with him.
For me, it's just I just feel like I hit the jackpot with this movie. I mean, I can't believe that I'm sitting at a table, flanked by these people. I mean, that I got a chance to work with David O. Russell it's an utter dream come true. So, I just sort of, I can't believe this guy wanted me to work with him.
Brad,
So.
just to follow up, how did you come to the project? And were you actively looking for, you've been actively looking now for different sorts of movies to do, have you not?
No, I mean, it's really simple for me. I just want to work with the, what got me into this, my dreams to become an actor were to be in movies like the ones that this guy makes. And so all I want to do is work with great filmmakers and great actors. It's really very simple. There's no plan, and let me do this one like this and that at all. And David and I met on another project, and we hit it off on the phone. I still remember our first conversation. I thought I could just tell how much I really like this guy, and the fact that it's David O. Russell was incredible. And then he had this project, and he called me and he said, I want you to do it. And I'd also met with Harvey Weinstein, who said, I want you to do it. And I thought, that's a dream come true. Are you kidding me? And so I had faith that he had faith in me, and then I did it.
We've got another question, but just before that, David, maybe you can pull up and talk about some of the other cast members, like Chris and Jackie and Anupam. How did you bring them all together? Talk a bit about the casting process.
Sure. I mean, starting with Bradley, I think there's a nice parallel for me between Bradley and the character that I didn't realize until now, which is that I first saw Bradley in The Wedding Crashers, and his anger impressed me in that movie. His character was an intimidating character, and when I met him, I kind of thought that's was who he was, and he told me a little bit that had been who he was at that time, and that he had gone through some changes, and that was all very interesting to me, that he had all those layers in him. And it was also interesting to me that as an actor, this role was a departure for him, and as the character is coming home and reintroducing himself and remaking himself to his community and saying, please, I don't think you know who I am. So I felt the actor was doing that to some degree, which was cool. Jennifer, I did not have any clue of her abilities because of her youth, and we had our choice of a lot of terrific actresses, and Jennifer came in at the 11th hour and just stole it. She Skyped from her parents' house in Louisville, and it's kind of one of those, oh my God, who is this person? And we didn't know that she had all that in her. It's very exciting when you can work with somebody like that. Chris Tucker was an inspiration that Mr. Weinstein and I shared, because you find people, it's like there's a sense of discovery with each of these people, in a way. You haven't seen any of these people do these things. So where's Chris Tucker? And so Chris Tucker he was in Jackie Brown, we haven't seen him in a while. That's exciting. As he walks into the house every time, it's kind of like Chris Tucker's walking back into the movie and into movies every time. And he's got an amazing energy that's unpredictable, like his character. And every time he gives a speech about the laws around mental hygiene, that's just a fantastic thing. And Jackie Weaver was acting in a play in Washington. What was that play? When you
Uncle Vanya.
Uncle Vanya. So she doesn't fool around. She was doing Chekhov, and she's always doing some great theater somewhere in the world. And who knew that the woman from Animal Kingdom was doing Uncle Vanya? That's an amazing range. And it was just, we didn't know if she could really throw down as an American, but she did. And Anupam, Jackie is the pillar of the movie. You need, for everybody to go crazy around someone, you need someone very strong at the center and who's real every time you go to them and who's deep. And that was Jackie. And Anupam, I knew I wanted an Indian actor that we hadn't seen before. I didn't want to, I thought Irfan Khan was great, but he'd been in everything. And I wanted someone, again, that would take people by surprise. I also wanted a bald guy in that role. And sometimes you see someone in a role. And he Skyped his audition from a village in India that kept breaking down. It's the first time for me on any movie to Skype any auditions. He had been in 400 movies in India, which I found out interestingly when he told Woody Allen that. Woody Allen said, in how many lifetimes? Which I thought was interesting.
A question down here.
Yes, this is Linda from Fairchild TV of Toronto. A question for David. Of course, in this fast-paced world, people have issues to manage, like anger management. This movie is for the voice and the sympathies for some people that we don't understand and just treat them. But on the other side, let us understand how to deal with people who has a little bit of problem, an emotional problem. Thank you.
So you're asking about the people who struggle with some of these challenges? Is that the question? Just the people who struggle with some of these?
The movie to make audience understand better how to help and to sympathy.
Sympathy, yeah. It's interesting because, yes, this movie in a way is about people who struggle with certain emotional issues that are bigger than the average issues. What interests me is not only how they're like us and how they have to find their way, but also how they're just bigger versions of us. It's just, so I've had personal experiences with this. Mr. De Niro, who couldn't join us today, has had personal experiences with this and his family. That was something we wanted to do. So that's definitely a big motivation in the story, to take off the stigma, and that's a great thing for a filmmaker, to have something that's charged, like radioactive, that people are scared of. That provokes reactions in people, as these two characters do in every home they visit. And they're two of my favorite kinds of people because they inevitably tell the truth, unvarnished, bluntly. They're very often right. It's not comfortable. They can be tagged as outsiders or weirdos, but they turn out to be some of the sanest people in the movie. And yeah.
A question back there?
Was the story always intended to be in Philadelphia, and what made it so perfect of a backdrop? I'm from Pittsburgh, so I understand football as religion, but just kind of wondered what you guys thought about Philadelphia.
Well, it's based on a book by Matthew Quick, which takes place in Philadelphia. So yeah, there was no other place for it to occur, and then we were lucky enough to shoot there. And I'm from Philadelphia, and one thing that David nailed, so often movies that are set in Philadelphia, if you're not from there, you assume that it's basically just some sort of mirrored small reflection of New York City, but it's not at all. It has its own accent and its own sort of very sort of interesting mentality that I think I felt was very tangible in this movie. The house, the production design, that house that they live on is so accurate, and the way that everybody comes together. And you can walk into any household in the weekend in one of those homes, and you're going to have about 5 people sitting around doing various things. I mean, that's sort of end of the movie with people playing cards and making brajol with Mom and Chris. I mean, that's how I grew up, and it's nice to see that sort of real sort of embedded element in the movie, because from that it's so anchored that you can then watch and really feel like you're living in this house with these people and walking on these streets. There's a lot of walking in this movie. There's not a lot of driving in cars. He walks to pick her up to take her to the date. They go to the diner that they run by. That's a very neighborhood mentality. That's true, and it's nice to see that in a movie too.
We have a question back here. We'll get a microphone to you in the meantime. We'll get you over there.
Hello, Juan Carlos Garcia from Mexico. This question is for Bradley. You portray a person that goes for so many troubles. What do you do when you are going like in bad days? What makes you feel happy? And do you remember a good and bad teacher in your life, and why they were the bad and the good teacher in your life?
That's a lot of questions. Did I have good or bad teachers? I had great teachers throughout my whole life, actually. Wonderful teachers, from my Latin teacher in high school to my French professor to this guy to my right, and this one to my left too. Teachers all up throughout my life. And what was the bad moments?
What do you do when you have bad moments? What makes you feel good?
What do I do when I have bad moments, and what makes me feel good?
To make it feel better.
Got it. Thank you. That was good. Yes. That was a real moment.
Somebody take their shirt off.
That's great.
Those happen.
Yeah, did something happen to your dress?
Yeah, all the cameras.
Oh God, you hope to be around people that are going to help you heal. I think that's the great thing about this movie, actually, is that this movie doesn't end with a cure. This ends with healing. You watch this guy, Pat Solitano, go from one place and end up in another, and he's not a different character. He's very much the same guy you met in the beginning of the movie, yet he's healed by his family, by love. And he's lucky enough, Pat Solitano, to have people like that in his life, who are real too. You have real characters who are dimensional. There's no bad or good character in this movie. And I've been lucky in my life to have a lot of love around me. So when anything bad happens, I can relate to that movie, that there's healing in your family and your loved ones.
Chris and Jackie, maybe you can talk a bit about the relationship that your two characters have throughout the movie. It's sort of a bonding that crystallizes in the final scene. Jackie, your character Dolores is pretty well the only one who's not off center there, and she's the rock around everyone. Can you talk a bit about playing that character?
Well, like any mother, the thing you want is for your kid to be happy, and you meet Bradley Cooper and you just adore him. And when he was in such anguish, all I cared about was getting him better. I was more overawed with being Mr. De Niro's wife than Brad's mother. But that turned out to be a great experience. And also I wanted to be authentically Philadelphian because I'm Australian. But I had some great teachers, not the least of which meeting Brad's real mother a few times. She's a fabulous woman. anyway, yeah, does that answer?
Yeah, that comes in. And Chris, how important was it to you to be in a David Russell film?
It was very important, and it was a fun role to play. And working with David O. Russell it was a privilege because he's a great director. He helped me out a lot, and it was just a fun role. It was really fun.
We have a question back here. Go ahead.
Yeah, one question, but for Bradley, Jennifer, and Chris. Your characters all suffer from varying degrees of mental illness. I guess it's a very sensitive topic. What kind of research did you do? Did you do much sort of going into the role? Did you just work from the script, or did you go beyond that to sort of get your part down?
Yep.
Maybe Bradley first.
I don't
Sure.
right, because now I'm going to have to follow.
I follow this guy's lead. It starts with the script, and then I just do follow where the director wants to take me. And he threw a lot of, once we talked about doing it, he threw a lot of information at me and stuff to read and look at. And then it was just discussions and getting together and finding the rhythms, and then it's just modulating the character. I mean, the beautiful thing about doing a David O. Russell movie is, you're gonna explore so many different avenues on set. And each exploration takes you to a different place when you're doing the next one. And where the end result is so far away because it's really just exploring. And each exploration you get deeper and deeper. And in the beginning of the first week or two, maybe the first 3 days, Pat had there were a lot of different things going on with him. And we're making a movie, we're telling a story, and those modulations are key because he's the one that's going to take you through the story, and you're going to meet these other characters. And it was just finding the right balance. And that was all just through exploration. It was a very organic, real-time research for the character. It was actually lived in. It was happening. We were learning as we were doing it, which I think is, as an actor, heaven, because you're not doing it just with your brain. You're doing it with your body and your voice and your breath. And that's what I meant about him being a teacher. He was the teacher in that aspect. Because also the thing about David is he's right there with you, which is so key to making a film, to not have your director in Video Village, but he's there in the trenches literally sweating because we're running around and he doesn't want to get in the shot. It's very exciting and you feel very safe. I mean, all of us, I can say, we're very out of our comfort zone every day in a beautiful way, the way you want to be as an actor, because you want to be real and you want to be out of your head. And that's because you had this man there with you saying, it's going to be okay, trust me, just come on. And it was,
Jennifer, you want to weigh in on that at all?
I hate following you. I should. I didn't really do any research on. I didn't really feel like it was kind of her. She was just kind of like this onion. There's just so many different weird, bizarre layers to her. So many dimensions that continue to evolve. There was. I felt like I read the script and I loved her, and then working with David, she just kind of slowly started evolving into this thing. But it was about finding this girl and finding this kind of place where she. I just felt like it was mostly it would be so depressing. Because most of the time, if the rest of the world doesn't accept you, you don't really accept yourself. And I just imagine it would be so hard to have the rest of the world not accept you and you think you're fine and you don't know why they don't. I just think that would be such a depressing thing. And so it was just kind of developing her, not really so much about her a mental illness, so to say.
Question, Danny? Oh, Chris, you want to?
Yeah. I learned a lot about mental illness, and I love to do stuff that I'm learning because that gets me excited about it. So I was so excited about the movie, and it was a great script, great director, great actors. But the main thing I was learning when I was doing it, and I'm a better person after this movie. So.
Well, Chris, when your character is off balance, but you're there as a big comic relief, how do you play that? Without sort of crossing that line, you just sort of go for the humor in it, or how do you play it?
Once again, David O. Russell, because once I go too far, David don't do that. do this, you know. So that's the privilege of working with a great director. And you know, a lot I didn't know, and comedy is a lot when you don't know, when you say something and people say, what did he just say? So it was right up my alley, the part.
Good, we have a question over here.
Anupam, you've been part of many international collaborations, and this is another feather in your cap. Your thoughts on being part of this movie?
First of all, thank you. I was feeling ignored, and so was my mic. No, I think it's the best thing about cinema is that it doesn't require any particular language. Emotions are the language. But when I Skyped for David, I was shooting in a village in Rajasthan, and they had not heard of Skype, and neither had I ever done Skype. So the whole village was first of all looking for Skype, and it became almost like a folklore. But yeah, it did. Now everybody has a Skype there, by the way. I think this film, according to me, is about dysfunctional people who are in real life normal today. It's the normal people who appear dysfunctional, and that's what the best thing about this film is. And all of us who are sitting here and all of you who are sitting here are somewhere or the other dysfunctional. And what we all try to be normal, and that makes us further dysfunctional. So in this film, what comes across as most loving thing about these people are that they are not aware of their being dysfunctional. That's what is heartwarming. That's what it touches your heart. And at the end, the therapist himself is completely dysfunctional. He goes there to the Eagles game with face painted, etc. So for me, it was to be part of this dream cast is a wonderful thing. I'm also always told that 400 films, that's not my qualification. Every film. In fact, there was a joke in India that you cannot make Hindi films without two things, Rostock and Anupam Kher. But I like to work with, seriously. So, but then I think in the last 4 or 5 years I've cut down on my work. When you work with people you do not know, you are wanting to give your best. And English is not the language that I think in. So I had to rehearse at home and then in the hotel till one day when we were shooting first scene with Bradley and me, and David decided after the first scene, let's do all the scenes together. I almost went into half coma. But I think it's the genius of David.
He means we did the scenes in we did 2 or 3 days in one day. Is
yes,
that what you mean?
in a half a day. We did it in 6 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incredible.
But I think David has that magic quality that he puts actors in an adrenal rush constantly. You're on set. You have no alternate but to be brilliant. So, including me. Thanks.
Question back there. Go ahead.
This question's for Bradley. When you have a lot of movies like you do coming out all in the same time, how do you kind of keep your characters straight, and how much overlap is there between filming multiple movies?
Well, in terms of movies coming out, yeah, I'm not sort of playing them as they're coming out, so that's not an issue. Is that what you mean?
So none of the filming overlapped for any of
the filming of them. Oh, yeah. No, there was no overlap. I actually think that one informed the other. I went from Place Beyond the Pines right into David's movie. And I actually, it's almost like you got an engine that was already revved up. It was actually wound up being a great thing because of sort of everything was sort of firing.
No thinking.
No thinking, exactly.
Yeah. You know, it was really interesting because a gift to a director is chemistry, and these two had a great chemistry. You know, and they went off and after this and took another director benefited from their chemistry, Suzanne Biers.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Suzanne Biers. So they had a very good chemistry, and you don't know how that's going to go. You know, so that, and because she was doing the Hunger Games, and I don't remember where you were, they didn't really get to meet before, and also that he had worked with Mr. De Niro in Limitless, so they also had a father-son relationship that already existed. So that was a great benefit. They were very comfortable with each other and very natural. And Bradley knows Bob's children, and so that's just that was a very good thing. I just wanted to circle back for when you asked about the research. So you know, the book was about someone who was much more extreme. 4 years, not 8 months, in a hospital. I didn't know how to make that movie. You know, I don't know those people. That's a different kind of movie. I know people who have maybe gone for a week, or who are very high functioning people who the wheels come off for whatever reason under stress. And I based it on people I know and that I've had experience with. But just as the fighter to me was not about fighting, this movie to me is not about mental illness. To me, it's always about the people and the dynamic of the people, or what Jeff Wells was talking about. It's about look at these people. That's why I want to create a world that it's like, oh my God, look at this world and look at these people. That's what rivets me and grabs me by the throat for the whole movie, the immediacy of that. And I know, Jennifer, I don't know, how did it feel to you when you came onto the set? You had just come up from Hunger Games? And had you just
they were already shooting, and I showed up and we did the running, screaming scene.
Which is one of my favorite scenes, where she runs up in her black coat and she says, "I can't give you the letter." That's it, right? Yeah.
It's always an adrenaline rush. I mean, the first day of work always feels like the first day of school. Like, is anybody gonna like me? Is this gonna be? But the two of them are just kind of hilarious, and we had a lot of fun. And then we called action, and it's just that was probably actually the best scene to do on that day, because it was all out. Like, I don't know. We just we just jumped into it like 100%. But that's kind of how it feels every single day. You don't really know what's gonna happen. There's no point even really reading your lines before you show up, because we show up and do it so many different ways that that was actually probably for the best.
You know, it's funny because there's acting that's more like what people call bedroom perfect, what De Niro called it. He said this was bedroom perfect, meaning when he did it in his bedroom that day, it was perfect. But then he shows up on set and it becomes a different thing. But I don't tend to work well with actors who become bedroom perfect. You know, I need to work with the actors who are going to come up, who knew, you know, I felt intuitively that she showed up and that wasn't going to be a problem for her or for him.
I never prepare. That's never a problem for me.
But she's like, you're talking to her and she's eating potato chips and you don't think she's paying any attention whatsoever to what's happening. You're like, I hope this works out. And then all of a sudden it just goes bang, you know, and he's very different. He's walking around, you know, probably more like Bob, sort of trying to marinate in the character. So actors are all so different.
A question over here.
I have another question for Bradley and Jennifer. Do you find anything of your own personalities in your character? What do you relate the most?
I don't really I've never had too much in common with a character of mine. I feel like you kind of have to find your own voice automatically comes out, because if you're being natural, you know, in your mind, you're going to be talking how you're going to be talking naturally. It's going to kind of come from this, your own voice. I think the things that my friends and family have said is the most me moment are the times that I'm running up behind them going, "Hey!" Apparently that's a very familiar noise when you're around me. Hey! So I think that's probably that's what I've heard the most, that was me in that moment.
You know, the goal is to get to a place where you believe everything you're saying, and it's coming from, you know, from deep. So you actually hear your voice, and it feels the way when you're talking normally. But that may be with an accent, depending on what work you've done. But to get to that place, so in order to get to that place, you know, it's a myriad thing. It's your imagination. It's finding things in myself, people that I know. You know, it's always different things. But just hopefully getting to a place where you actually just believe exactly what you're saying, so that you don't have to act. But it takes different things, you know. But words sometimes do. An anchor for me was saying "Dad" to Bob all the time. I think Pat must say "Dad" 100 times in this movie, and every time it came out of my mouth and I was looking at him, I don't know, it just felt really, it just kind of like anchored me. Which is, yeah, I don't know why that is, but yeah.
David, I just want to follow up on the origins of the project. When did you first come across the novel, and how long ago was that?
I was actually before The Fighter, about 2007 or 2008. Sidney Pollack had optioned it with Harvey, and Sidney showed me the book and talked about how tough the tone would be to crack, because it was so searing and intense and painful, but also funny and local. So I loved it because I related to so much of it, and I wrote it. And then having made The Fighter, I learned even more what I wanted to do with the family and the community and make it even more specific, and then rewrite it for Bob. So that was sort of the process for me. And then as you get to know each actor, you sort of tailor it to them. That's why the script keeps evolving. Because you see the strengths that each actor here brings to your set, and you want to use those to the best you can. I hate when I'm in the editing room and it's like I had a AK-47 and I didn't fire every feature on it, you know. So I want to know that we fired every feature on these people.
I'm going to throw one out to Bradley and Jennifer, and Chris too, for that matter. When you're in a movie franchise that really takes off beyond your expectations, how difficult is it then to look for special projects like this one that comes along? Is it a difficult process for you to find something that's different? Do you consciously make that choice? Jennifer, you want to talk?
Well, fortunately, there aren't that many amazing scripts out there, so it hasn't ever really been too difficult. I mean, when you find a script like this, and an opportunity to work with these people and work with this director, it's a no-brainer. There's no like really difficult, should I do it, should I not do it? Yeah, there's not too many incredible scripts like this to choose from, so that makes it easy.
And Chris, when you're in a franchise as well with Rush Hour and that, when when you're looking for other projects, how difficult is it then to come across a gem is going to shine in a different way?
Well, like Jennifer said, it's very difficult because there's not that many good scripts. That's why you haven't seen a lot of me. But when you it's good to have a good team around you, because they say, hey, you need to work in this movie. David O. Russell's directing it, great cast, and it's different from what you've been doing. And you listen to your team, you say, okay, let's go. And I'm glad I did it.
Mr. Kher, you were here last year with Breakaway, the opening night film last year. How does it feel to be back in Toronto? And do you find yourself, is it surprising to come back all this way to work on projects in North America?
Yes, it does make a difference, because also when you're used to working with the same actors again and again, if you have done so many movies, you're basically accidentally or otherwise meeting a lot of actors. So what happens is that you want to give your best, and Toronto is a great place to be with, because not only that has great large Indian population who can say Anupam, things like that, but I think it's one of the festivals which has a great amount of warmth in it, and that's what makes it it's different. And this film, I was very proud yesterday when we got a standing ovation of I don't know how many minutes. And I embarrassed Bradley by having tears in my eyes, and I said, but that's because that's what joy is about certain movies, and I'm happy and very proud to be part of this film.
And Jackie, you're predominantly known for your stage work in Australia, and that.
Well, this November I've been a professional actor for 50 years, so I've done about 100 plays and only about 20 films and a few TV series. I've got one foot in the grave.
And how is the film atmosphere different in North America from what you've experienced in Australia?
Well, I think any American would tell you that David O. Russell's unique. He was such a joy. I'm crazy about him. He's brilliant. I can't look at him now. I'm so embarrassed. I always think film crews the world over are pretty much the same. I don't find anything different except perhaps the intonation of our speech. But no, I find the process pretty similar.
And just the atmosphere of Australian film, is it a different genre really than American productions in terms of how audiences perceive you and the work that you've done? I didn't say that very well. Australian movies, do they have a different air about them? Do they have a different cadence to them than, than American films do?
Well, they've got much smaller budgets. I can't really generalize about the Australian film industry because there's only 20 million people, and so it's a cottage industry compared with what there is in North America.
I'm going to throw one more question to you, Bradley. If we have any more, please stick up your hand. We've got some microphones coming around over there and down here. Brad, going back to when you're in a big franchise, also when People Magazine does what it does, how does that color you in terms of when you're going out to look for work? Is it like a big reputation then to live up to, and how does that all feel to have the glare of that spotlight on you as an actor?
I mean, is that a serious question?
Yeah.
No, and I mean it's an ephemeral. I mean, I don't even take it into account. I mean, it was an interesting thing, and but yeah, I mean, has nothing to do with what we're doing.
It doesn't create any sort of expectations then of you as you go and try to be.
Well, I mean,
serious about your work.
I don't know. I mean, that you'd have to ask the people that hire me that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a question here.
Yeah, I have another question. In the middle of a festival like this where everybody goes to see the movies, I was wondering if Jennifer and Bradley, do you guys have time to go to the movies like everybody else, without getting bothered at all?
Oh yeah. I'm a huge movie buff. That's one of the things that I love to do more than anything is going to a theater, watch a movie by myself, and yeah, I mean, my life is very normal. The only time it gets kind of interesting is in these situations, but yeah, no, I mean, yeah.
I saw Place Beyond the Pines the other night. It was fantastic. You guys should go see it. Yeah, it hasn't been. I mean, I don't have time. I would love to. There's so many great movies playing here that I want to see, but. Are you talking about just at the festival, or is he just saying
general,
like?
Right?
And
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I find that I go to the movie theater less, but I also find that I leave my house less now.
That you go
depressing.
to the movies? Do you have any specific disguise that you go to the movies so people wouldn't recognize you?
No.
Why would they can't tell you?
I dress up as no, I don't have a disguise yet, hence I haven't really been leaving my house too often. This is really depressing. Sorry.
Okay, we have time for one more question down front here.
A question for Jackie. Jackie, how were you able to project such an element of calm among all the conflicting characters that surrounded you in all those scenes? I mean, your face just projected that calmness, and you had very little dialogue, but we felt for you.
Oh, well, thank you. I think it's going back to what I said before. When you've got a child who's in anguish, all you want is for them to be happy, and you'll go to any lengths. There was one scene we were shooting that was particularly high key emotionally. It was Bob and Brad and I, and we were all in tears, and Bradley was going crazy, and Pat was the character of Pat, and at the peak of the scene, I was meant to scream Pat, and I screamed out Brad because I was so involved and upset, and Brad said, "Who the fuck is Brad?" So we were in the moment.
Yeah. All right, Silver Linings Playbook will hit theaters on November 21st. It was a TIFF Gala presentation. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thanks.